Tonight, we're going to be in the book of Judges, chapter 6, 7, and 8. And there's 3 chapters tonight. And there's a man by the name of Gideon. And I think that name is really cool. We have a baby in the church named Gideon, and he absolutely hates me, but he's adorable. But Gideon's story, it's in 3 chapters that we're going to talk about tonight. At this point, the Israelites were slaves to the Midianites in another group. And at this point, they would go out and they would find a place to harvest crops. And these Midianites and, what was the other name? I can never pronounce it right. Amalekites, something like that. Amalekites. It's weird. These groups of people, once the Israelites would plant their crops, they would let the Israelites do all the work. Yeah, you plant it, you grow it, you wait till they harvest. But right when it's come to harvesting, after you harvest it all, they're going to come through and they're just going to take it. No food. There was all your crops. You got to start over. So these people were very brutal, had the Israelites in slavery. And Gideon was the unsung hero. See, the Israelites were slaves for 7 years. And then the Lord spoke to him and said, "Have I not brought you out of slavery in Egypt? Have I not brought you out of the wilderness for 40 years? And this too I will bring you out of." So these people are like, all right, I know God's done it twice. I know. But we just have really bad luck because everybody wants to take us over. And then there was this young man by the name of Gideon. He was working in his dad's field. And the Lord went and spoke to Gideon while he was working. This is in chapter 6. And then Gideon, God gave him the strength and the courage to go forward. God then tells Gideon to go destroy the altar of Baal and replace it. Then God had Gideon gather his troops. Gideon had 32,000 people in his military. That seems like a lot of people. That is about 65, I would say 65% of Kingsport in his army. But the group he was going to face had 135,000 people. That is the population of Sullivan County, Tennessee, roughly. Just so you guys can get the picture. And then God said, you know, Gideon, you have 32,000 people. That's great and dandy. I want you to cut it down. So I want you to ask anybody in the room or anybody in the field, if you're scared, go home. If you're scared at all to fight these people, just go home. And 22,000 people left him. And he was down to 10,000. Now this man is standing in front of an army of 10,000 people about to go fight a group of people that's 135,000 who already had them in slavery. So they've already beat them once. And then now you're going in with less than 10% of the army size they have. And then God said, wait. I want you to take them to the river. Watch them drink. Anybody who puts their face towards the water and drinks sends them home. Send them home immediately. He said, but if they bend down and they cup the water in their hand and drink from it while looking up, keep them. Out of 10,000 people, only 300 kept their eyes up. So this man Gideon had an army of 32,000 people, and he's down to 300. Just like that. Within a few days probably, maybe the same day, with 2 commands from the Lord, he went from 32,000 to 300. Let me remind you. If Sunday morning service here, well, let me back up. How many were that Rise Together Sunday? Anybody? Okay. Rise Together had 304 people total there. So we take everybody that's in the farmer's market in the battle against all of Sullivan County, population-wise. I don't know about you, but if I was Gideon, I'd be like, we're all dead. I mean, they could literally do whatever they wanted with us for 300 people. And then God said, wait. And God gave them a method to win this battle. And see, God's method wasn't to attack with swords and I'm going to give you victory. See, God attacked them with confusion. They come around, they blew trumpets, they broke clay jars. And these army of 135,000 people were confused and killed each other instead. So let me ask you this question. There's a large battle coming in your life. High school's coming up. Who's going to high school next year? Mm-hmm. Graduation's coming up. Anybody a senior in here? Not senior citizen, just a senior in high school. I know Ashley's graduating college. Yeah. Ellen, what are you graduating? Awesomeness, cool. But even, that's just in school. See, these guys that just left, their battle is every time they put the uniform on. Every time they put the badge on, or every time they get in the ambulance, their battle is ahead of them. Just like you going to school every day, there's a battle in front of you every day. So my question is, with the battle in front of you, who's the army around you? There's a few things, 5 actually, that I want to talk about tonight. When we face these battles, God is the one who gives us courage and protection to face these. If you have your Bibles, chapter 6, verse 14. Maybe. Let me get there. He says, and the Lord turned to him and said, go in this might of yours and save Israel from the hand of Midian. God didn't say run and hide. God didn't say it's okay, just go sit in your cave and you'll be fine. See, God says, go. Let me read it to you again. Go in this might of yours and save Israel from the hand of Midian. Now let me ask you this question. I feel like I'm going to fall off of this one day. Let me ask you this question. You have this battle. And God says to you, I want you to go. I don't want you to sit back and hide. I want you to go and fight this battle. I don't know about you, but if God told me to go fight a battle, he says, look, I got your back. This battle I'm facing is going to be like, well, it's really nothing if the one who allowed the battle, the one who knew the battle was coming, the one who created the people in the battle, has got my back, I can go fight this battle. I don't have to run from it. God gives us protection. Chapter 6, verse 23. But the Lord said to him, peace be to you. Do not fear, you shall not die. I think about this over and over. If God come down, or this angel come down and spoke to me and said, I want you to take this army, a small army compared to what you're battling, and I want you to go fight this battle and do whatever you have to do, but just know you won't die. See, the men who stood up here earlier, they didn't know for sure, and they don't know for sure if when they pull out of their driveway, that's the last time seeing their kids, or their mom, or their wife, or their family. But when God told Gideon, go and be at peace because you will not die, how much more comforting and protection does that give you? One thing I've always wanted to do in my life, and you're going to call me really crazy and probably laugh at me and say you're an idiot. But one thing I've always wanted to do is wrestle a lion. Now listen to me, listen to me. If I always want to wrestle a lion, and I'm not talking about like this little baby that's growing up. I'm talking about give me the biggest male in Africa to wrestle. Now, I know you're thinking this guy is absolutely crazy and he's going to get his head knocked off with one swipe, which is probably true if I try to fight a lion. But let me tell you this story. There's a man by the name of Daniel. And you want to know God's protection? God's courage in a story? Follow the life of Daniel. Daniel was supposed to bow down and worship this idol of king or whatever. And if he didn't, he was going to be thrown into a lion's den. As much as I want to wrestle a lion, if you tell me that my punishment is to wrestle a lion, not just one, a lion's den that has multiple that haven't ate in a while, I may be a little scared. Just a lot, actually. I want to be terrified. But Daniel still had the courage from God to stand up and say, no, I'm not doing that. I'll take your punishment. Throw me into the lion's den. All right. So they throw him in the lion's den, close him up. It's like, I'm going to come back in a day or two, or ever how long it was, and see how much of it was left. They were all laughing, throw him into it. And you know what I'm talking about God's protection? Imagine, okay, so how many of you guys watch Animal Planet? Animal Planet, National Geographic, anything like that? I love that stuff. I just watched a documentary on lions the other day. Imagine what one lion could do to somebody if they're hungry. Imagine what a whole den of lions could do. Pretty hungry, haven't eaten in a while. Probably haven't ate since the last person that was threw down in the pit. And God shut the mouths of the lions. And Daniel walked out of that den whenever they rolled the stone away to let him out, untouched because of God's protection. So if a God who can protect somebody like Daniel from a hungry pride of lions in a lion's den and can protect Gideon, who's taken 300 men into a battle with 135,000 people, why can't he just protect us if he would let him? So many times we won't even let God protect us. We want to be, some of you men in there, oh, I can take care of it myself. How well has that got you? How far has that got you in life? Taking care of yourself. The women in here, oh, I'm so independent, I can do it on my own. How well is that working out for you? I'm not being mean. But why? When we're not allowing God, who gives us the courage to fight this battle, the courage to say no to a king, and the protection against it in this battle, and the protection against the lion, why would we not allow him to give us courage and protect us? Why would we want to do it on our own? This doesn't make sense to me. Now here's the fun part. So God will give you courage and protection like he did Gideon. But he also puts you in a leadership. See, he went to this man while he was working in his dad's field and said, you're going to be leading this army. You're going from the bottom to the top real quick. There is no training process. No, you're going to go fight this battle and lead these men because I said so. It's kind of what leadership feels like sometimes. Ask David. It's kind of what it feels like at his job. It's just like, go for it. Figure it out as you go. And see, here's the beautiful thing. After God gives us protection and God gives us courage to act upon and face this battle, I'll promise you this. Everybody in this room, I'll promise you this. God will downsize your group. Ask any adult in this room how many people they graduated, or how many people they talked to they graduated with. Actually, you don't count. You graduated like 9 people. Private school kids. Yeah, I'm talking about Cedar View. It's okay. Chad went there too. But literally, I went to DB. I graduated with like 520-some people in one graduating class. It was like 4.5 hours long, 100 degrees outside, and we were wearing all black on the turf. And it was like 12 o'clock in the daytime. Awful. After that year, they moved graduation to like 9 a.m. instead of 10:30 like it was. But even myself, the people that I talk to on a daily basis that I graduated with, 0. 523 people walked across the same stage I did. I talked to 0. I went to a school with 2,000 people in it, and I talked to 0 on a daily basis. See, I was a kid walking around school that everybody knew. And that's how I liked it. I wanted everybody to know who I was. I didn't have a problem with anybody at that school. Nobody had a problem with me. It was 2,000 people walking down the hall. Everybody knew who I was. But God showed me really quick, when life gets real, and life gets real when you graduate, trust me. You want to be 18 and moving out, trust me, life gets real really quick. I'm telling you, no matter if you go to college, the military, or get a job, life still gets real really quick. And when these battles of life come at you, the people you graduate with, that you talk to on a daily basis at school, will be gone. Just like God got rid of 22,000 people. I lost 2,000 people when I graduated. 500 of my graduating class. At the time, it was the largest class ever at DB, and it's been growing here ever since. So let's just say I lost a school, which is 2,000 people. That's a lot of people. Imagine going into life and losing 22,000 people that's supposed to have your back. See, God knew at this point in their life that the people who are scared to fight the battles with you, for you, are no good in your life. And that's why he's getting rid of them. God will downsize your group simply because the people of your life will not fight your battles because they're scared to do it with you. Who's in your circle? I always tell people when I go to Severe, I was actually there this morning, seen a few of you guys there. I was at Severe, and You know, they still have those round tables in the cafeteria. Okay, they had those when I was there. And they might have been newer now, but they had the same concept. And there was 2 of us. So I think there was 8 people at a table, something like that. Whatever, 8, 10, whatever. There was 2 tables full of people in our lunch that we were just, they couldn't separate us. I mean, we were all sitting together, all laughing. We got in trouble so many times for talking. Of those 16, 20 people, I talked to 1. None of those guys at that table, except for this one. My own family sat at that table, and I don't talk to them anymore. Out of, let's just say it was 8, take me off. That's 15 people. Of those 15 people, only 1 of them was ready to take on life with me, for me. None of them were ready. They were all scared of what life would come because he's a Christian. They were all scared of what life would happen to me. And then there was this one who was not scared. Just like Gideon had 10,000 to stay because there wasn't scared, I had this one that wasn't scared. So we have 10,000. So let's just say your group is, let's just say DB, 2,000 people. When life gets real, people start falling off. You see it every day. How many times do you see friends not be friends anymore? How many times do you see relationships break up and like half the school's mad at somebody over nothing? You see it every day. People fall off every day. So who's in your circle that's going to stay, that's not scared to fight these battles with you? Chapter 7, verse 23. No, sorry. Chapter 6, verse 23. Verses 2 and 3 of chapter 7. I'll get it right in a minute. The Lord said to Gideon, the people with you are too many for me to give you the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel boast over me, saying, my own hand has saved me. See, God gives you these people, or God removes these people out of your life, because if you go into a battle of depression, if you go into a battle of attempting suicide, if you go into a battle of drugs and alcohol, and you have all these people supporting you, if you ever come out of it, who gets the glory? You and the people around you. And God said, that's not how it's going to work. That's not how I've designed it. So you know what? This group that's going to help you, I'm taking them away so you can focus on me. So I can get the glory. Verse 3. Now therefore proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whoever is fearful and trembling, let him return home and hurry away from here. Are you asking the people in your life that question? Are you asking the people in your life, when times get hard, when I go into battle in my life, are you scared to help me? Because if you are, you can just go home because you're wasting my time. See, I was that popular kid, like I said. But if I had read this story in high school, 2,000 people wouldn't have knew me. $10,000 people or 1,000 people wouldn't have knew me. I'd have had my group that goes into battle with me every day, that goes to prayer for me every day, that teaches me the scripture every day, that disciples me every day. That's the group I would find to fight my battles with me. And then God will downsize your group by how they act. See, the point is of when God went down and said, go to the river, and let them drink. And remember I said if he put the face in the water and lap it up like a dog, it's what the Bible says, to send them home. The reason that is because if you put your face in the water, you can't see what's going on. If you keep your eyes up, you can be watchful. And God wants people over our lives that are watchful, that are watching over us, taking care of each other. Who's in your circle? Who in your circle would watch out for you while trying to take care of themselves at the same time? Watch how your friends act around you. Are they trying to take care of you? Are they trying to build you up? Or are they just being those people that are just there to get the glory for themselves? So God will downsize people by fear of fighting your battles. God will downsize people because they're not watching out for you. They're talking bad about you behind their back. They're not standing up for you. And when you get this small group of people versus this ginormous battle, God will make a way. And see, God's way is not the way of man, because Gideon thought, I've got to take swords and shields with 300 people into 135,000 to get victory. And God said, no, put the swords and the shields down. Take trumpets, take clay jars, and let me do the rest. See, when we get in these battles, we're all like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you should probably do this, talk to this person, ask this person this, go do this. When in reality, God says, put it all aside and pick up prayer in the Bible and let me do the rest. That should challenge us tonight. We are people that want to get things done and done the right way. But sometimes we need to remove those people. We need to remove our forms of going into battle and pick up God's method of battle. Chapter 7, verse 9 through 18, he makes a way for the victor through the clay, through the trumpets. He said, blow the trumpets, smash the clay jars, and the people will be confused and they will kill themselves. Eric, if you'll go ahead and begin those, please. And when God gives you the courage, God gives you the protection, downsizes your group based on fear, downsizes your group based on how they act, and he makes a way for you to fight. The victory has already been won. Verses 19 through 23. So Gideon and the 100 men who were with him came to the outskirts of the camp at the beginning of the middle watch. This is probably about midnight. When they had just set the watch, they blew the trumpets and smashed the jars that were in their hands. And then the three companies blew the trumpets and broke the jars. They held in their left hands the torches, and the right hands the trumpets to blow. And they cried out, a sword for the Lord and for Gideon. Every man stood in his place around the camp, and all the army ran. They cried out and fled. When they blew the 300 trumpets, the Lord set every man's sword against the comrade and against all the army. And the army fled as far as they could, and as far as the border. And the men of Israel were called out, and they pursued after them. Now I paraphrase the end of that, skip some locations and some destinations, but the point is, when we find our group of friends, when we find that group of people, let me ask you this question: who's your 5? See, God's been dealing with me about that. Who's your 5? Who's the 5 people that no matter what life happens, they'll guide you, strengthen you, pray for you, teach you the word, encourage you, and fight battles with you. Who's your 5? It may not be 5. It may be 2. It may be 1. But I guarantee it's not much more than 5. So he's going to play these pads for a minute. Will you turn these lights down for me, please? I want everybody to close your eyes and bow your heads. And I'm not going to take long. I know this wasn't a very powerful, life-changing, emotional sermon. My question is, who's your 5? Take a minute in your chair. If you want to come to the altar, you can. If you want to sit in your chair, that's fine. And evaluate your friendship. Evaluate your circle. And find out who's the 5 that are not scared, that are on watch for you, that has God's courage of protection, that'll listen when God makes a way to fight a battle. That way you can get victory in your life.